Every single person in this community will be touched by grief. At some point in their lives, they are going to lose somebody and they're going to deal with grief. And this organization helps people in a healthy way get through that.
I lost my dad to pancreatic cancer when I was a little over a year and a half.
My husband Justin passed away at the age of 28 from stage 4 brain cancer.
I was 3 when I lost my dad.
I lost my dad when I was 5 years old.
Bill died on March the 20th of 2009. He was 52 years old.
My dad drowned when I was 12.
My mom died of cancer in 2009 and I was 17.
It's okay to cry. It was okay for me to cry.
We didn't know what our lives would look like 17 years ago, but hope means we're sitting here right now as a family, stronger than ever, and using it to our advantage.
I don't know where I would be without Lost and Found Grief Center. They truly taught me how to identify my feelings, how to talk about my feelings and work through those feelings.
There's no space where your kid can go and feel as comfortable and feel as heard as they are at Lost and Found.
I needed help, and I don't think I wanted to admit that. If you were Justin Skaggs' wife, I didn't want to admit I needed help. I told him I would take care of things, and I felt like I maybe was being weak. He was the biggest, strongest, healthiest guy I knew. He started making mistakes on the field, which kind of wasn't like him. He was very meticulous in his work. The trainers thought enough to send him to a neurologist, and they found 2 brain tumors. It was stage 4 oligodendrogliomas, and within 2 weeks of our diagnosis, he was gone. That left us here with my kids at 5 and 3, asking, where is he?
When we were living in Salt Lake City, being around all the football guys, like he'd let us be on the field and stuff, kind of being in the locker room and throwing the football with the players, like I kind of just felt like I was a part of the team for a little bit there.
I came to Lost and Found 6 to 8 months after Justin died. Jake had started showing some behavior that I was afraid of. He had destroyed the neighbor's yard, and the neighbor came down and said, "Terry, you've got to come see this." I went down there and looked, and he had destroyed everything he could. When we got back to talk about it, he said, "My brain is telling me that I'm angry and I don't know how to get it out." And I thought that was massive for a 5-year-old to be able to communicate. And so I immediately got on the computer not too long after that and started looking for grief help.
One thing that I specifically remember, and it was like one day, it was kind of a big group of us, and we were in a living room area that was all carpet. He was kind of older, throwing a football just around with all the little guys. Like, it was kind of almost like a reset button for us kids in the group to kind of forget about what was going on. Outside of, like my mom said, of these 4 walls, like sadness and maybe angry in my case, but I could forget about it and throw a football with some friends and, you know, kind of just be a kid.
I remember sitting on a couch just like this and walking in, and it just felt like a home and it felt safe. Dr. Scott said, right now, every single thing in your life reminds you of your person and of their death. And what we're going to do here is we are slowly going to narrow that lens to where you are going to be able to go on with life and still have good memories. You're always going to miss your person, but it's not going to overtake your entire life.
He's my everything. He was my best friend, my role model, my dad. We had gone on a previous trip before and seen one of those floating rafts, and we wanted to go jump on it in the middle of the ocean. So me, him, and my brother all started to go out and swim out there, and we got out maybe halfway, and Marty, my brother, was getting pretty tired, and he decided to turn back, but you know, me and my dad didn't. So we kept swimming back there, and after a little while I didn't hear him next to me and turned back, and I saw that he was floating face down in the water. And you know, so I swam back to him and turned him over and tried to back paddle us, and just started screaming for help.
About that time, a girl came running, and there were 4-wheelers going up and down the beach. And they were calling out Cheryl. But why would they be calling my name? And she said, you just need to come now. You need to come immediately. And when I got to the resort, I said, where is Tyler? And they said, he's up in the room taking a shower. I walked in and I could hear him just sobbing in the shower. Bill wasn't there and Marty wasn't there. And so I was almost hysterical, I think, just trying to get someone to give me answers, and no one would. So I told Tyler to get out of the shower and put his clothes on, and so we went running down there, and as we could see the ambulance and we could see Marty. I was running towards him, and he just shook his head. And he grabbed me as I got there, and we both just kind of fell to the ground.
Kind of like an out-of-body experience, like I was watching myself be told that my dad died, and that they weren't able to save him, and it didn't feel real.
People thought Tyler was doing so well, but I knew he wasn't, because I knew who he was, and I knew his personality. And when I would hear him laugh, that wasn't his laugh. I would see how he just shut down. There was no one who could really help me out at that time other than Lost and Found.
I came to Lost and Found 2 months after he died. And I remember the only thing I said was our opening circle. I said my name, who died, and how, and then I just started crying. And I didn't say anything for the rest of the night.
There was a point after my mom died where I didn't want to get out of bed, but I still had school the next day. And I still had prom, and I still had college to look at, and I didn't even want to eat breakfast.
Being surrounded by peers who have gone through the same thing, I think, really just allowed my sister, allowed me and my mom to kind of work through everything in a safe space.
We could have been on a totally different path if we didn't do that, I feel like.
You're safe here, and you might leave here feeling a little lighter than when you first came in. Even now when I'm volunteering again after 17 years, I still get that feeling coming in here, and I just want to sit with them in their hell for a minute. Just let me sit with you. And I feel like that's the message that people are getting here.
The full circle moment for me coming back to Lost and Found has been being a facilitator. Because I'm a facilitator in the Middlers group right now, and I first started in the Middlers group. It just feels so surreal that I'm on the other end now. And I think, when I first came here, I was just in such a dark and sad and lonely place. And then now I feel like I'm like a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel for some people. My dad lived life with joy and happiness and just like unabandoned enjoyment. And I try to live that way now. And, I feel like without Lost and Found, I definitely wouldn't have been able to do that.
My life would have been incredibly different if I hadn't have come here after my mom died, because Lost and Found really gave me the tools and the space to work through that grief in a way I don't think I would have been able to on my own. I know I wouldn't have been able to on my own.
Lost and Found to me is kind of another piece of my dad almost. I have a lot of his mementos. I think it's pretty normal for a grieving person to wear their dad's sweatshirts, and so I think Lost and Found has kind of become a memento of him to me, in the way that when I'm helping out here, when I'm involved, I kind of remember him, and it's a way to not forget.
I just want people to understand that it's so important to come here for however long it takes.
I wouldn't have known what to look for later. I wouldn't have known what to see in myself. Grief is a whole thing, and unless you get some education on it, it might get you. And I didn't want it to get us.
Lost and Found is a place I call home and a place where I feel safe. That's very true today, too.
Thank you, Lost and Found.
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 Thank you for supporting Lost and Found.